of my fieldwork in Odisha started about 25 years ago and continued actively until about 2005. Various families in Odisha and also in East Singhbhum district of Jharkhand, where I had occasion to spend a lot of time and to try to collect photos of the Talapatra putis they held in their private collections. Those years, I was going around all of Odisha, mainly with my friend Kunja Bihari Upadhyay, whose photos you see there. And we were finding many putis, we were cleaning them, photographing them, and then trying to use those photographs for research. That research led to a number of publications, mainly dealing, as I was then focused on studying Sanskrit, so they were mainly dealing with the Paipalada school of the Atharva Veda, which some of you may know is very important in Odisha. There were also some books which resulted from my research in that line. The latest was published actually quite recently in 2018, and you see here a wonderful painting that we had specifically made for the cover of that book. And my work on the Atharva Veda, so this important ancient Sanskrit text, has also led to not only to books, to printed publications, but to digital publications. On the website, you can see here, although it's probably too small and you can't see the web address, actually the whole Sanskrit text can be consulted online. In that line of research, there's also a team in Zurich, in Switzerland, who are pursuing further and making a complete translation and commentary and various other philological works on this same text available digitally. Now, in this book, which I show you here on the right-hand side, this is a Sanskrit text written in the 16th century by a man called Sridhara, and the text is called Bibahadi Karma Panjika. And in that text, the Sanskrit language that is used is quite unusual in many regards, and I analyzed that in the introduction. And there are words like payahpeti, or the word pet, which means to open, or the word bandapana, which is not correct Sanskrit, but exists in Oriya, or also the word siwadi, which occurs as siari in the Purna Chandrabhasha Kosha. So my study of this text led me back to the study of Oriya language and actually how Oriya language was important in the way a Sanskrit scholar in the 16th, 17th century wrote Sanskrit. While I was doing my work in the early 2000s, the government of India started a program called National Mission for Manuscripts, which became quite active also here in Bhubaneswar at the State Museum, and thousands of putis were photographed at that time. You see here one example of the photos made by that project. The National Mission for Manuscripts still exists, but I have to say that I haven't been using it a lot. There's a search window, and I actually found quite a lot of manuscripts that have been studied from the Odisha State Museum, but I cannot see how to access the photographs. So this is more like a database, but you cannot, I think, easily access the photographs. I also wanted to show you this German website, the Kalamos project, where I'm not sure all, but in any case a number of Odisha manuscripts kept in Germany can be identified, although again there are no photographs. From that point of view, I want to draw your attention to a small collection of manuscripts from Odisha kept at Cambridge University Library. And Cambridge University Library has gone a step further and actually digitized with very high resolution photographs all of those manuscripts. So you can easily study and read them just online. So what I would like to say is that I think that one of the priorities in the study of the literary heritage and history of Odisha is really on a massive scale to make digital photographs of pothis and also paper manuscripts available in an open way in a database where they will remain safe and everybody can access them, which is actually one of the problems that I confronted because I took hundreds, thousands of photographs, but then I had no place to store them and share them with people. And that is a problem that all of us who want to share information have to deal with nowadays. And I very much hope the Odisha government can play a role there. Now I want to turn, I already mentioned Purna Chandra Bhashakosa. So this is one of the ways to access that dictionary digitally through the digital dictionaries of South Asia hosted by the University of Chicago. So here you can enter words either in Oriya script or in Roman script. Actually, this website is using a digital set of data furnished by Srujanika, which also has its own website, which is nowadays called Oriya Bibabo. And on that there are many resources, I guess many of you are aware of this, for Oriya language, including the dictionary, and this is somewhat expanded compared to the original Bhasakosa, which is on the Chicago website. However, the expansion is purely by taking specialist dictionaries and adding the entries into the dictionary. So now I would like to say a few words about digital philology, which is a branch of scholarship that I'm especially trying to practice in Indonesia with manuscripts from the island of Bali and also from Java. So if we try to apply digital philology to the history of Oriya language and literature, what might that mean? I think it could mean to collect an open corpus of early Oriya text based on digitizing existing editions of medieval Oriya literary works, training young scholars to make new editions in a digital framework using manuscripts, edit texts that have not been edited before, or re-edit texts that have not been reliably edited, and collect an open digital database of photographs of manuscripts for this purpose. It could also mean making an Oriya dictionary, the data for the Oriya dictionary, openly available, meaning everybody can download and access the data and reuse them on a website where those data could be edited collectively by scholars all over the world. It could mean linking the growing text corpus of Oriya texts to the dictionary so that the dictionary can be improved and supplemented. It could mean filtering text corpus data to compile descriptive and historical data on Oriya language. And it could mean finding solutions. It would require finding solutions so that linguistic data contained in variant readings in textual transmission are not ignored in lexicography and grammatical description. Here I'm giving some advertisement about what is called open access, open data, and the FAIR principles, all research funded by the European Research Council, such as the project that was mentioned in the introduction that I'm leading, has to comply with the FAIR principles, where F stands for findable data, A stands for accessible data, I stands for interoperable data, and R stands for reusable data. So the idea is that publicly funded research must lead to data that comply with these principles. Working in digital philology nowadays almost necessarily implies using what is called TEI, or Text Encoding Initiative. And I would very much like to know whether any scholars in Odisha are working in this framework. But I probably don't need to go into details here. I just wanted to give now an example of when you use TEI to edit a text digitally. So here I'm taking an example of a photograph I took last year of a putti which is at the State Museum. It has number DH95, and I'm showing my work in progress on this text. So a digital diplomatic edition of a Dharma Nibandha from Odisha. And one of the interesting things of this text is that it mixes Sanskrit with Oriya language. So you can find here that it first says Samhara Mudram Darshayitva, Sam Mapini Mudraya Namaskoryat, and then suddenly from Sanskrit it goes to Oriya. Bama Dokkino Duchi, Hosta Prusta Duhe, Ekotra Koritangu Manonkum Prospere Yodi Kori, Jugolokhiba, Namaskara Koriba. And then there's another passage where it has Agore Lekhachi Punya Havachanam, and then later Kichino Hile Chaturdasa Brahmana Bojan Nishchaya Koraiba. So we get, even in a Sanskrit manuscript, we get data in Oriya language. And because of the code that I have here, I can actually make clear what is Sanskrit and what is Oriya. So later, if you would want to use data processing tools, you could extract from this manuscript only what is Oriya, and you could ignore what is Sanskrit. Quite a long time ago, maybe 15 years ago, I had a student who was able to help me make scans of Arta Bolaba Mohanty's edition of Sarala's Mahabharata. And then I had a little bit of money to get a typist to type all the Oriya text into digital files. And that typing process was finished in 2009. And since then, I haven't found time to do anything with that. But now, to prepare for this event, I started looking at it again. And I've put all the data on a so-called GitHub repository where everybody can access it. And I have also put on archive.org the scans of the entire text. And so the idea is now that we will have a digital version of the edition. The digital data are in Roman script, but nowadays with Unicode we can, in principle, quite easily convert from the data which are in Roman script to the data in Oriya script, although there are little problems like the word huoi. Huoi does not get correctly interpreted in the Oriya script, so we need to improve a little bit the data entry to get a good, get the Oriya script correctly shown. So this is already there for the whole text. I'm just showing the very beginning of the text, but there are still many typing mistakes and also errors for the Oriya script like this. And I hope over the coming months to work on this, but in any case, it is available for anybody to use and reuse. So let me summarize. Once source data like this for the Sarala Mahabharata will have been cleaned up, completed, and made compliant with the Text Encoding Initiative framework, this foundational work for the study of Oriya language, literature, and history will be available in digital form for anybody to download. It will allow digital textual analysis, such as finding or indexing words and showing contexts in which words occur. It will be free to be enhanced, for instance, with variant readings of many manuscripts of this text, and it will be free to be reused, for instance, for the project of re-editing the text that I have heard is going on by several senior scholars today. Let me conclude by saying that I will be delighted to collaborate on this and other digital projects with scholars in Odisha. And with that, I conclude. Bahut dhanyavad. Sorry, I took much less time than I was supposed to. I hope you forgive me. However, I would love to take questions if anybody has them, but I'm not sure if it's going to be easy.
जदि आपण माने प्रोफेसर आर्लो ग्रिफिथ्स को किसी प्रश्न पचारे को चाहूँगी तांकर आजिर ये टॉक रिलेटेड रे तो आपण टिके इटी ऑडियंस टिके माइक देबे स्टूडेंट्स मन को भी मु अनुरोध करी कि से मैंने जदि प्रोफेसर ग्रिफिथ्स को सांगे किसी विषय पचारे को चाहूँगी तांकर आजिर ये टॉक विषय ताले टिके आगु को आसिकी एटी माइक दिया जिवो आपण कहि परिबे।
समस्त को नमस्कार। डॉक्टर आर्लो ग्रिफिथ जो टॉक दिले, I want to first of all comment on the fact that we are so pleased and honored that you have come to Odisha, and we have been having such a wonderful time with you since our Jamshedpur days. But my specific interaction right now refers to the Sarala Mahabharata, the only Sarala Mahabharata part. And on the Sarala Mahabharata part, in the past about 4 years, there has been a lot of work which is going on about 15 or 16 palm leaf manuscripts at the SOA University, where they have collected a large number of manuscripts. They have digitized that. And Artavallabh Mohanty's work on Sarala Mahabharata, which was published originally by Utkal University and then subsequently republished, people have found that it is still deficient in a few things, which is what is going on. But this work was primarily initiated by the fact Gopinath Mohanty, the author and the writer, for about 15 years was researching into Sarala Mahabharata. And he collected also a number of pothis. And when he compared the published edition with this, he found there are discrepancies here and there, but more importantly, there are also interpretation problems. So there are three things which come out, and the three things are: A, Sarala Das did not exist in the 15th century, he existed in 9th or 10th century. So there are linguistic variations, comparisons which he made. The second thing was Bilanka Ramayana, which is normally attributed to Sarala Das, does not belong to Sarala Das, but one of his disciples. And the third thing was, of course, his place of origin. Where did he hail from? So, but barring these last two, the first one, whether he existed in the 9th, 10th century or 15th century, is a matter of great relevance to the Odia literature. Because normally the Odia literature is traced to Sarala Das. So my an observation is, whatever you have done with Arthababu's work, which is a very painstaking work, but Arthababu, by the time he started this, had already become very old, which is why even the foreword he couldn't complete. But now that the Srujanika also helped us, and now that so many scholars, I don't know if those professors are here, Gauranga Babu and others, if you are here, you can, yeah, you are there. So therefore, they would tell you that what they have done in the past 3 years. I've seen those digitized versions, very interesting. So your digitized version of Arthababu's work and what they are doing already, they have done in the past 3 years, put together will make a great study of Sarala Das. This is all that I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. You should know that from my very first visit to India, I have been hosted by Mohanty sir and madam. So they are like my Indian parents. And this is actually precisely what I wanted to suggest. So I have not yet had the chance to interact with the scholars now working on this text again, but I really wanted to take this opportunity to try to get to meet them and see whether maybe the stuff that we have already digitized can be useful in some way, because it's all about reusing, and once you've typed things, even if you want to change them, that's easier if you go from digital data to new digital data than if you have to first type again. So that is the little service, at least, that I would hope to be able to give. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I'm here. I'm Dr. D.P. Maji. I'm from Delhi. So I got the opportunity to study there in IISS Hague. As I understand, the difference between the pronunciation of like the language between the Dutch and Oriya is quite different. Oriya comes from the vocal cord, and Dutch language comes from here, throat. This kind of sound it produces. So what inspired you to learn this language? That is my question, because I am surprised that you learned Oriya language and our Granth also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, I was inspired to learn Oriya because I was curious and wanted to do my research in this part of India, and wanted to meet people, and wanted to have success in my research. And success in research comes by being able to be polite and interact with your hosts. So it was clear to me that learning Oriya was essential. So I spent the time needed to learn that. I didn't learn it perfectly. I could not have given my lecture fully in Oriya, but at least I can speak a little bit and read a little bit. And I always hope that I can find time and find nice colleagues to come back to Odisha and strengthen my skills and become better than I have become so far. So that is my hope for the rest of my life. Yeah, so that's my answer.
Kulke Sahab, in world, there are 10 languages which are most popularly used in the world, like English, etc., etc. In Indian language, Hindi and Bengali. Our submission that, can you give us a blueprint or plan and action plan to the Odisha government that Oriya will be one of the 10 popular languages in the world?
Good luck, but I am myself a speaker of a small language, Dutch, and personally I don't think it matters whether you are among the 10 biggest languages of the world or not. If you want this, please do your best, but I will love Oriya even if it's what I mean. The number of speakers and the rank in the world does not matter for me. I think it's important that we study what we love and we study seriously, and that is what I would like to try to do. Thank you. So, maybe Jotesto? Dhanyavad, Rohit.
Thank you, Professor Arlo Griffiths. May I request everyone to please give a thundering applause, join our hands together in appreciation for Professor Arlo Griffiths' talk. Thank you so much for being here with us. एबे मु आमंत्रण करुछि ओडिया भाषा साहित्य और सांस्कृतिक विभाग शासन सचिव श्रीमती सुजाता राउत कार्तिकेयन को अनुरोध करुछि प्रोफेसर आर्लो ग्रिफिथ्स को सम्मानित करिया पई। आउ थरे गोटे करताली सहित आमे प्रोफेसर आर्लो ग्रिफिन्स को अनेक आशीष धन्यवाद जणेबू। आपण समस्ते एबे आमर जो बहुत सुंदर प्लानेटोरियम कराई एग्जिबिशन कराई तार राउंड नहीं पारे बुलिकी देखी पारे आउ गोटे परे आमर लंच अरेंजमेंट होती ब्राह्मणी हॉल रे आपण लंच नहीं पारे आउ 3टा बेले एठी जगन्नाथ कॉन्शियसनेस उपरे टॉक दिया जिवो। रिक्वेस्ट एवरीबॉडी to kindly join us at 3 p.m. for Jagannath consciousness topic. The talks are going to be here, and lunch is at 1 p.m. at Brahmani Hall, and request all to take a tour of the beautiful exhibition and planetarium that has been organized on the occasion of this conference. Dhanyavad, Namaskar, Bande Utkala Janani.